All right, everybody, welcome to the In-Demand Hairstylist podcast. I am so excited to bring to you a new friend of mine, Lisa Huff. We're going to be doing an interview today, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. She has some really amazing things going on in the industry, and I love how social media brings people together, right? Like we randomly met on social media.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to this interview just so that I can get to know you better. And I think that you guys are really going to love what she's up to. So Lisa, she is a stylist and a salon owner, correct? You're in a suite
I'm in
owner?
a suite. Yep.
So good. And she is also the creator of the Stylist Soul Tribe. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But before we do that, I just want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know how you got into the industry and kind of what got you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you for that intro.
Yeah.
So my name's Lisa Huff. I live in Central Illinois. I am a studio suite owner. And I have for the last almost 5 years now been running an online membership program called Stylist Soul Tribe. I am now at this point just behind the chair 2 days a week, not because I have to financially, but because I really love it. Soul Tribe has grown to the point that thankfully, if I couldn't, I don't have to be behind the chair anymore, but I've really found that I still love the craft. I still love working with clients. I think that it makes what I coach to very relevant. I practice what I preach. My hands are still in hair. And that's important to me. So I have, like I said, for the last 4 years, almost 5 years, been growing what I call Stylist Soul Tribe. And my main push in passion and kind of my why is just to create connections and sisterhood inside of the industry. I'm always somebody who has been like a natural connector. Like I'm still very best friends with the girls I was very best friends with when I was 5 years old. Like I've
Love
always
that.
like really brought people together. That's definitely just like I think a superpower of mine. And years ago, 4 years ago, I was really obsessed with building my business. Like I don't say obsessed lightly. I was actually obsessed with it. It's all I thought about. I was so passionate about it. And I just started feeling a little bit lonely in that. And I was seeking out people who were equally as passionate about their business and entrepreneurship as well. I realized that chatting with my friends who don't understand this industry or my husband or my sister, like they didn't get it, they didn't care like I did. So I was just seeking out community, and I put out a call years ago saying, is anybody interested in forming like a little mastermind where we meet regularly and we talk about business, we talk about our struggles, we support each other, like who genuinely just like want to see each other grow. And that first launch I think had like 15 members or something like that, and like I said, that was almost 5 years ago. Now we're up to over 100 members. I've released a lower tier to the program called the Collective. I told you about the Cycle 6 of Success. That's kind of my new like brain baby. And that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh, I love this. And I feel like so many hairstylists are going to relate to your story. I personally was a commission-based salon owner. And so community wasn't really ever an issue because we had a team and we were every day in the salon together, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad. but that's something that I can't really speak to, but I know a huge portion of our industry experiences that feeling of sort of being alone and doing it on your own. And so I love that. And I love that you took the action to just go ahead and create the thing that you were looking for.
Yeah.
So at that time, were you, the people who joined your group, were they friends of yours, people that you had met on social? Did you know other local hairstylists, or how did you start that initial first group of stylists?
That's a great question. Yeah. None of them were local. And I've actually found, even as Soul Tribe has continued to expand, for me, it's been harder to get local people in. I am in a small town in Illinois. I didn't grow up in the town that I work in. So when I hit my little, location growing my business, I hit it hard. Not that there was ever any ill feelings, competition, jealousy, nothing like that. I just didn't, it was harder for me to connect with local people. And I feel like there's something about the safety of the internet that almost allows you to like tiptoe into connections. And then if they don't work out, you can just peace out and you never have to see those people again. So actually just this last year was the first time I have had somebody local to me join Soul Tribe. I guess I've had a girl like 30 minutes away from me in it for a few years, but it's taken a long time for actual local people to feel pulled in. And I truthfully, I get it. Again, there's almost that safety net. So no, my founding members were just people that I knew through other industry education, Instagram, cheering each other on, supporting each other. And none of them, I mean, they were from all over the country right off the bat. And it seems like, I know some people like to create local connections. I'm a big supporter of that, but I do think there is something about the safety net of the internet letting you just taste it and get close to people. And then if for some reason, if it doesn't work out, there's nothing lost. And I do also want to touch, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I also want to touch about we have quite a few commission salon owners, which being the owner can be a little bit lonely because obviously you have your people to turn to, but not with the same set of struggles. And then I also think that it's nice to have an unbiased, removed opinion so that the only people you're turning to when it comes to business struggles or questions or things like that aren't in your world where they may have a skewed, thought because they also know the person that you're, have the struggle with or something like that. So I do think there's something about this format of it being on the internet that keeps it a little bit private. But then what's really cool is we also do yearly retreats. So we do become real life friends, but we give a whole year to really get to know each other before we are brave enough to kind of to meet in real life. Yeah.
That's so cool. I actually like never really thought about it like that, but that is so true about being able to like tiptoe into friendships or connections, and really kind of feel out the space. I think as hairstylists, so many of us are like empaths, and you know what I mean? Sometimes even though what we do is very much like we're talking to people all day, I think a lot of us are sometimes actually more reserved when it comes to like friendships and really letting people into our space. Oh, it looks like
you're frozen for me too, but I can hear
yes.
you.
Okay, there we go. Are we good now?
I'm good. I see you.
Okay, awesome. But I love that you mentioned that too about commission stylists, because you are 110% right. As a salon owner of a commission-based salon, I absolutely had to have my own community outside of my team. I love my team, but there are certain things I can't talk about with my team. And on the flip side of that, I would absolutely recommend that if you are a stylist in a commission-based salon, to join a tribe, to find a community outside of your team, because you're so right. Like to get unbiased opinions, to get also just to get different perspectives. Sometimes you get caught in your culture, which is great, but it's always good to get different perspectives and things. So just because you're commission-based and you are part of a team doesn't mean that you shouldn't find your own community outside, a place that you can kind of go and retreat to of your tribe of people. So I love that you brought that up as well. So, going into a little bit, you have created something called the success cycle. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So you've created something called the success cycle. I love it. I talked a little bit before this and you sort of walked me through it and I was like, oh, this is so true. Like, I feel like I walked through this. So can you just explain a little bit about that cycle and then like how you came up with that, like how you found that you were walking through this cycle on your own? So can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, you'll understand when I get to the end of this cycle, and I'm going to try to not make it long-winded because I can easily do that.
You
But
take your time.
the cycle of success is like my most recent, what I call big magic idea. And I'm pretty sure most people listening to this right now, and I already know Krista and you because we chatted last week as well. Like most people have received big magic ideas. And I'll get to that when I get to that stage. So basically what I recognized is that in my, constant obsession with entrepreneurship, building my business, growth, community, I've realized that I go through I've gone through a cycle multiple times. And then as I've been coaching stylists for many years, I either realize I've watched them hit a cycle, or I realize where they get stuck. And then once they get stuck at a certain stage, it's almost impossible to get further than that. So an overview of the cycle of success, there's 7 stages to it. If you guys ever want to head to my Instagram, you can kind of see it. It's nice to see it in like a physical, circle to kind of understand. But it starts at mindset. The top is mindset. And I almost feel like you could almost pull mindset out and place it just as a foundation of the cycle, because I feel like you could be in any other stage and mindset's still number one. I don't think you're moving forward until you get your mind right. That's something we constantly dip back into. That's something I'm super passionate about coaching people through and keeping that up, because I don't think you can get super far if you get stuck in a lack or a fixed mindset. After mindset is vision. I'm really big on law of attraction, manifestation, vision boards, all those things. So I think it's important to give yourself the time and space to just dream bigger than you've ever allowed yourself to dream, with no judgment. Just like, if I could have any life in the world, what would I want it to be? And I know that seems audacious in the beginning, but until you start doing these vision boards and you realize what seemed so untouchable 4 years ago is now your reality, like, I think nothing's off limits. So I think vision is important, because we have to start with the end in mind, and you can be very easily just shooting in the dark if you don't know what your vision is and what you're even striving towards. And I feel like a lot of people end up feeling stuck, burnt out, unfulfilled if they don't have a clear vision. After vision, I like to coach stylists to working their dream schedule. I think time is our most valuable resource. I think that needs to be the first thing we think about, because you can make more money in the future. You can, there's plenty of other resources you can tap into, but you can't ever get time back. So that's really important to me. And even if that doesn't mean that you can work your dream schedule tomorrow, I think you should know what your dream schedule is and be taking action every day to support getting to the point where you can work your dream schedule. I think that's really important. And I think we are one of the very few industries or careers out there that can allow you to do that. And I think it would be a shame for somebody to go their entire career in this industry and work a schedule they hate, because you're the only person doing that to yourself, After schedule, we move on to clientele. So I think once you are kind of vibing high and have your mindset and your vision, you kind of step into this way of thinking, you start to realize that your environment plays a big toll on your energy and your mindset. And I think it's really important to work with people that light you up. I'm very passionate about crafting a dream clientele. I can tell you, based on my own business and when I watch stylists who are really burnt out, a lot of them are working with people they hate. And same reason, we have the freedom, this industry, to not do that. And I have so many people inside of Soul Tribe now that are truly working with 100% of their dream clientele. So I think it's important to keep that in mind for you to feel lit up when you're going in to work every day, your dream schedule. And again, doesn't mean it can happen tomorrow. Sometimes it takes some work to get there, but I think it's an important thing to be keeping in mind as you're moving throughout your days. After dream schedule is income, because obviously that's what everybody wants, but I think you have to get the base, set solid first. So I have a specific way I coach around price increases. I think they should be very emotion free. Like, the market should tell you if you've earned a price increase or not. There's actions you can take if you haven't. Don't be emotional about it. So I feel pretty confident in when I'm coaching stylists to price increases, and I've personally scaled my schedule down so much while continuing to make more year over year behind the chair. So I'm really passionate about being able to do that. After that is white space. And I remember you asked me, like, what does white space even mean? White space to me is just quiet time, getting to know yourself, intuition. Again, it's a little bit woo. It's meditation, it's self-care. It's again, I will talk to stylists who don't feel like they're living their, dream life or business, and they'll just say like, oh, I don't even have time for that, or like I can't even be alone with my own thoughts. Like, that's not a good place to be. And like, I think we should look in the mirror if that's how you're feeling, you know? So a lot of people who join Soul Tribe end up really prioritizing white space, even when it's uncomfortable in the beginning, maybe diving into what that means and looking a little bit deeper into that. And then I think once you've sat in white space long enough, and again, a lot of that is like not consuming what other people are doing on social media and comparing yourself and just going within, meeting your intuition, getting to know her, starting to work hand in hand with her. And I think once you're doing that long enough, that's when what I call, not, I didn't make it up, but that's when big magic ideas start to plop in. Big Magic is a book by Elizabeth Gilbert. I read it before I created Stylist Soul Tribe, and I swear it changed the trajectory of my life. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. To not be too long-winded, basically what she says, along with a lot of other things, it's a book about creativity. But what stood out to me when I was reading that book is sometimes we get these ideas that pop in and it like sends chills down your spine, gives you goosebumps. You just like grab a piece of paper, write it down, like super just like a universal download. Like the information didn't exist and now all of a sudden here it is. Where did this come from? And if you guys are anything like me listening to this podcast, you may be like, yeah, I get those all the time. They're a dime a dozen. Like it's what do I do with them? And what she talks about too is that how ideas are energy. And if you don't take action on your idea for a long enough time, it will move on to somebody else who will take action. And that really stood out to me. And when the idea of Soul Tribe and a mastermind and this, program that I could create in the industry, when it popped into my mind, it was also when I was like either reading that book or just finished it up. And it was just very crystal clear to me, like, Lisa, you need to take fast, messy action. You need to keep moving forward as long as anybody is interested in this. And you need to just like bring this to life. And through just me sharing that story, we have so many people in Soul Tribe who have come up with the coolest big magic ideas that sometimes they're exit strategies to the industry. Sometimes they are salon ownership. Sometimes they're their own form of education. I got to shout out my girl, Leisha. She actually works for me. She's my assistant, but she's bringing a big magic idea to life right now. And it's been really cool to watch. Last year she was, on the vision casting workshop and she was making, 6 figures behind the chair, working in a suite, really like checking all the boxes, but she was just kind of feeling unfulfilled. And she was like, I really have a hard time seeing forward. And on our vision casting workshop, I was like, I just want you to close your eyes and just pretend like it's 5 years from now. You don't know what brings you to this day, but it's 5 years from now. Like you wake up in the morning, where are you? What are you doing? What's happening in your life? Who's around you? How are you spending your time? And she said that she, imagined she was in the mountains and she was from Ohio and her dogs were there and she was working on her computer and she was remote, yada, yada. Long story short, Leisha has rented out her house in Ohio. Her and her husband have bought an RV and she has started a business called the Traveling Hairstylist. And she is gonna, I know, it's so cool. She is gonna move around from state to state and find salons and stylists who either are going on maternity leave, have had a medical leave, are super overbooked and just need assistance. And her dream, so I'm going to shout her out here, and years from now when this is a reality, we can all look back on it. Her dream is to have a whole like platform where stylists can come and like not be commission or booth rental or salon owner, but they travel. And there's this format where they can pop into salons where they're needed. And she's bringing it to life. So there's so many others. Alana has started like a website design, service for hairstylists. Courtney has started like a virtual assistant service for hairstylists. So there's been so many big magic ideas that have came to life, and watching people cycle through that. And again, that's why I call it a cycle, not just like a path, because once you have this big idea, you got to get right back to mindset and you got to evolve and get ready to level up and start over again. So I told you that was going to be long-winded. Tell me your thoughts after that.
No. Okay. So first of all, I need you to block off the next 4 hours because I feel like we could just talk forever about all of this. So like, as you were going through all of that, I'm just like, yes, because same, like as a salon owner and coaching hairstylists for so many years and growing them up behind the chair and helping them build, you know, you see this cycle that people go through, and it's so, so true. I love, there's so many good points. And like I said, we could talk forever. So I'm going to try and like pinpoint on maybe some of the biggest things that I heard you say. And, one of those things is burnout. So I think like that place of sitting down and getting quiet, because I know you're so right. Like people are like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to myself. My kids are here, or my family, or I'm working 12 hours a day. Like, when am I supposed to sit and just dream? It sounds like silly and comical. And I remember, when I went through a phase like this, and it made such a huge difference. Even if you give yourself 15 minutes to just breathe and calm your nervous system, grab a journal, write down some ideas, get some of the things out of your brain, it's amazing what will come up. And so, yeah, giving yourself space to dream, because I do know a lot of people in the industry get to this place of burnout. And they end up switching industries, or they end up, just going a totally different direction. And maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe it's just that you need to think bigger and dream bigger.
Yeah.
So I love that idea of the white space. And
Well, and while you're on that, we're all
yeah.
human. So I just want to say, like, it's very natural. And why I reached out to you specifically, Kristen, is because this title of this podcast is the In-Demand Stylist Podcast. And being a in-demand stylist, I went through a period of time where I was like super duper duper in demand. And it's a funny game because it's like you work so hard to get to that point, and then once you hit it, you're like, well, now what? This isn't all it cracked up to be. And that's why I think it's always next level, next devil. And I think it's only our responsibility to decide that we're not just going to take on that narrative at a certain point. Like, oh, well, I hit this, so I either you sit in it for a while, and then you're a human. You're naturally going to eventually get bored of that. You're going to want more, or you're just going to let your clients, I hate to say it that way, but or your business just run you over and wear you out. And that's not a good idea either. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I know, yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's just some people will say that I don't have time or whatever. And I just think it's really our responsibility to decide that we're going to, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. If not, you're just going to not be happy. And I think that's on you then.
Yeah, absolutely. And the role and the goal of being an in-demand hairstylist is, yes, get to that place where you're an in-demand stylist, but the whole point of getting to that point is so that you can live your dream life.
Yeah.
You can do whatever the heck you want to do when you get to that place where you're in demand. You can charge what you want. You can work when you want. You can have the clientele that you want. You can offer the services that you want. You can shift and move and adjust and change. And that is really the goal of the in-demand hairstylist, is get you to that place where then you can do and live the life that you want to live.
And would you agree that you have seen, I know you said you've raised a lot of like commission baby stylists up, that would you agree that people almost get so lost in that journey that it almost seems like you're never going to get there, and then when you hit it, they almost like lose sight of like, who am I now outside of this,
Absolutely.
And that's where I think white space is important. You should know that. You should look into that and find that out. I think that's what makes all this worthwhile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that kind of shifts to where I want to take it next, because that is huge. And I think what you said, and it popped out at me, is that you're like, under each of the sections, you're like, this doesn't happen overnight. This is something that takes time. And so that's just a lesson in itself, is just know that, the stylists that you see that are out there traveling and doing all the things, it's not that happened overnight. They maybe got themselves and worked themselves to the point where they had enough money put in reserve. They have enough clientele or enough whatever, courage, whatever it is. It doesn't happen overnight. And so this is why I think that community is so important, right? Because as you're going through these phases, you will absolutely, one, get frustrated. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have days when you want to give up. You're going to have days when you're like, what am I doing? This is not happening fast enough. Yeah. And so in your own journey, because I know you said that you were in that place where you were so focused on building your business that you sort of felt alone, kind of lost a little bit. How important was community for you as a stylist? And then also, now that you have created this community, how have you seen that it's really helped the stylists that join your community?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, like I've said, my whole life, community has been everything outside of business. That was the case as well. And for all the reasons you just stated. And I also think what's really impressive about a very intentional community is their ability to be a mirror for you and to point out blind spots because sometimes you get caught up in your own head, in your own, life so much that you only see a version of a story that you've been telling yourself. And especially when the format that I've created in Stylist Soul Tribe Mastermind, when you get put with a group that you work with long enough, they can recognize when fear is talking for you. They can recognize when your ego is jumping in. They can recognize when you're getting panicked. And that's really cool too, because sometimes we're so close to it, we get in our own head and we're our own worst critics and, biggest enemy or whatever. And yeah, I just had a situation on Monday and I went on my Instagram story and shared it. There was one girl in Stylist Soul Tribe OG. So these are the girls who joined me almost 5 years ago. They're still together. There's 7 of them that still meet once a month together. So after this many years, we know each other so well. And without like giving away anybody's personal business, there was one girl in the group who has been killing it her entire, I mean, she is one of the most impressive humans, hairstylists, business owners that I know. She is on top of it all the time. And she just went from renting a super duper duper successful studio to owning a salon space with 3 commission stylists underneath her. And she was just kind of getting in her head. Things have slowed down a little bit. Who knows if it's recession, if it was February, if it was, who knows, like
Right.
but also slow down for her is like what other people dream of because she's so in demand and she's so busy and she has such a beautiful business. And she was feeling like her pricing structure is a little bit off. And there's all this, different education coming at her from every direction. She's got this person in one ear, this person in the other ear. And she's like, I just feel like I need to change something, like this is off, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I jumped straight into coaching her. I'm like, yeah, you could do this pricing model, this. Another girl was like, yeah, this is what I do. And then another girl who, again, these girls have been together for years, she was like, you know what I'm hearing you say is that you're feeling panicked, you're feeling a little bit afraid, you're feeling the pressure of this new role that you just took on, that you have not been doing for very long. Maybe you don't need to go this month shaking up everything that has worked so good for this long. Maybe you just need to take a beat and see if this is still an issue in a month. And as soon as she said that, I was like, boom. Yes. Thank you for saying that. You're right. Why did I go to coaching? Like, that's the power of community. And honestly, not just if I was one-on-one coaching with her, I would have coached her through that. That's the power of numbers and the power of finding people who care so much about you and what you have going on that they can catch those little blind spots that you miss, and hopefully feel like they're in a safe enough space that they can call them when they see them and that's going to be facilitated well. And it was exactly what she needed to hear. And I'm sure next month she's going to be feeling much better. But even if she's not, then we'll deal with it there. But like that's a really good example, I think, of community versus just taking courses, working with coaches. There's something about a round table, a mastermind, all these minds coming together. You're automatically going to be better off than just one mind or 2 minds, as long as it's facilitated well and the space is safe and everybody can, is super respectful and the guidelines are there. I think it's a really, really powerful tool.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like how valuable is that for her,
Yeah.
to even just, to get opinions and then have this big aha moment as a group,
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, let's wait this out. Like she could have made a very like abrupt
Fear-based
decision.
decision. Yes.
Yes. In that
And that
moment.
wasn't the right move. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. I love it. And thank you. Thank you for like creating that so that stylists do have that place, because that is so powerful to be able to run into something and be like, oh crap, I don't know how to handle this. But know that in like a week you have a call with your crew and you can like just bring it to the table. I mean, that's awesome. So let's dive in, because I know we are on a schedule here, even though I feel like I could talk forever with you. It's so
We'll
fun.
save it for another time.
Yes, yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again. But tell us a little bit about your mastermind and like how people can join, what exactly it looks like. Just a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what I described is the way to kind of come into my atmosphere is by joining the collective. So the collective is a monthly membership where we work through the cycle of success together. You get a taste of the Soul Tribe community before getting put into a mastermind. I launch mastermind when it's open. It's at capacity right now. I think it's probably safe to say I'll launch it once a year, but I'm capped at 100 and I won't be bringing more than 100 on just because I know I'm don't show up as a good coach and facilitator if there's more than that many people. So definitely the way to, if this sounds interesting to you, if you're craving community, if you're craving connection, if you're craving accountability, and just kind of a space where people really want the best for you and are high vibe and are thinking the same way. This is not a Facebook group where everyone's bitching and moaning. That's not what it is. So yeah, there I have an assessment. If you heard the cycle of success, you maybe know where you are on it, but I think it's pretty cool for you guys to take the assessment. You can find that by going to the link in my bio, or I can give it to Kristen to add to the show notes, and that will tell you where you fall in those 7 stages. And then based on that, if you want to hop into the collective and start to take those trainings and work with the community, and then you'll obviously have first dibs when mastermind does open again if you want to get in and get like your own tribe and start working on a much more intimate level, then that opportunity will always be there as well. So I think that's a good place to start, is filling out the assessment. If all of this sounds interesting to you, obviously shoot me a DM anytime. I'm always open to chat on Instagram. But I would love, yeah, if anybody feels like, yes, these are my people, this is what I'm talking about, I'd love to be a part of this, then the collective is definitely where to start for that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will absolutely, I'll put that in the show notes so anyone can access it. I'll also put your Instagram. Where can people find you on Instagram, or how's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, it's Lisa Huff Hair on Instagram. There's also Stylist Soul Tribe on Instagram. I hang out on Lisa Huff Hair a little bit more, but either one of those, I will see a message. And I try to stay on top of all my message requests. So if you shoot me a DM, yeah, I would be happy to chat with you. I do one-on-one coaching. You're always welcome to do that if you ever want to. But again, I think that the collective is smarter than just me. And I think that might be your best bet on where to start. And my Instagram's Lisa Huff Hair.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will include all of that in the show notes. Lisa, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Kristen. Seriously.
yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you for just doing the work that you do. Like, I just am, I love what you're doing. I love this idea of community and just the idea of like what you're walking people through and encouraging them to think bigger, to dream bigger, and to really create a life that is, you know, one that they really dream of. Not only their career, but the life that they want to live. And just some of the examples you shared shows the kind of success that you can have when you get into a community where people are encouraging you. So thank you for creating what you create, and thank you for being here today on the podcast. It was a pleasure.
Well, right back at you. It takes one to know one. And as soon as I started consuming your content, I knew we were very much on the same page and share a lot of beliefs. So right back at you. Thank you for your work you do. And I'm happy to just have a new friend out of this and that
Yay!
we get to stay connected. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. All right. Thank you.